Welcome to Learning Through Math, the podcast. I'm Laura at I Teach the Why.
I'm Karina at Mrs. Cousins 5. Our mission is to inspire ourselves and others to keep learning and improving with passion.
And hugs! You can find us at learningthroughmath.com and on Twitter at Laura and Karina.
Come and join us on this journey of learning.
Thanks for joining us. We are recording this at the very end of August 2020, and this August has definitely been the longest Sunday night ever.
For sure. Welcome to episode 12, A Dozen Icebreakers.
You get it?
Dozen.
12.
Let's give a shout out to Jen on Facebook. She's from Alberta, Canada.
Yay!
And we actually went to high school together.
You and her?
Yes.
Awesome.
And she listened to episode 2 on Number Talks, and she said she was intrigued about them, and I guess didn't really know much about them, and she can't wait to try them out in her grade 2-3 split. So I cannot wait to hear how it goes for her. So Jen, make sure you reach out again
to let us know.
To let us know, because I want to know how your journey is going.
And it's funny that you brought up Number Talks, because in my Facebook feed Memories this morning, I saw that our friend Jill, our former coworker, she had tagged me today. I think it was 5 years ago. She was getting a pedicure, and she held up a copy of the book and said, "Look, Laura, some light reading that I'm doing during my pedicure."
Wow.
So we do have some influence out there, I guess.
Right. And just shows you how long we've been talking about Number Talks.
Well, we've presented at many conferences together on Number Talks.
Yeah.
So our reflection this week is
that at least, if nothing else, we can laugh at ourselves. I hope that listeners, you are laughing along with us, because we've gone back and listened to our own episodes, and we just laugh at ourselves.
Yep. And if nothing else, we hope to bring some joy into your lives
during this very stressful time.
Yes. So good news. We're going to share some good news.
No, you're going to share your good news.
So my good news is I wrote a blog for Wipe Book, and they posted it.
Yay!
So we're going to share that blog on our own page. Tell them how to get there.
Go to www.learningthroughmath.com, click on blog, and you'll see Laura's blog.
Yay! Let's get into today's topic, A Dozen Icebreakers. Tell us about the first one.
The first one we thought we could use Find Someone Who. And I think this one has been around. I think teachers have been using it. The idea is that students would go around the room looking for someone who fits the category, the description of that box, write that person's name in the box. There's obviously, some of us are starting virtually. So this might be a little, one that might be a little more difficult to do virtually, but we thought you could still do it using Google Slides, using a collaborative slides, and students would go in and write down their names of someone who, and kind of just do it that way.
Right, because we know above all this year, we have to just build relationships and get to know our kids, and our kids have to get to know each other.
That's going to be the most important and the most difficult.
Content comes second this year.
Yeah.
We're still in the middle of a pandemic.
Yeah. And we don't know the story behind these kids.
Exactly.
We don't know how they've been affected by COVID. We don't know if they've lost family members, if they've seen, firsthand the illness and what it does. We just don't know.
No. So we just have to be there for them and get to know them on the personal level.
Yeah.
If nothing else this year, this is the year to be that connected, relationship building teacher.
Yes. And I think that's why this episode is so important. I think this is something that we're going to have to do, not just week 1. We're doing icebreakers. You got to think about what can you do almost daily.
Yep.
Really.
Yeah.
Daily activity to get to know them, to build that community virtually.
Yes. Our second icebreaker is 2 truths and a lie. Tell everyone how that works.
Students write down 3 statements. 2 of them are true. 1 of them is a lie. One thing that you always have to remind students of is to write down something that might be true.
Not
the lie has to sound true.
Real.
Right.
Like, you're not going to say, I went up in SpaceX. We know that's a lie.
Right. But then your truths also have to be surprising.
Exactly.
Right.
So you could have written that you jumped out of an airplane.
I use that all the time.
But I didn't know that, and I might have picked that as your lie before.
Yeah, I use skydiving all the time because it always
surprises people.
Throws the kids off.
Now I'm going to have to think about what my lie is. I don't know. I'll figure that one out. Our third one
is Math About Me.
Okay.
This one, students have to fill in a graphic organizer that has different categories like your age.
Okay.
Right? And they have to create math equations that once they are solved will give the answer.
Nice. Now, do they solve it or do the other kids solve it?
The other kids would solve it.
Oh.
The students would just write down, if they're 10, they could write down 20 divided by 2, and then that's their math equation to represent their age.
I love it. And do the kids present this to the other kids?
Right. And virtually you could have this, they could easily do this too, right?
Yes.
You take a few minutes every day for the students to show their chart or
their graphic
organizer, introduce themselves in mathematical equations.
Nice. Which leads us kind of into number 4, which is numbers about me. This is where the students would take a Post-it note or virtually maybe do it on Jamboard and just write one number that's important to them. So maybe they pick their favorite number, like my favorite number is 7. What's your favorite number?
13.
Oh, okay. And then the teacher would post all of these up, or if you could do it in person, the kids would post it all up, and then they would talk about how that number is important to them. The other thing you could do is try to make connections with numbers. So maybe if somebody else had a number 6, we could say, oh, look, 7 plus 6 is 13, and all those numbers. Now, 6 didn't have to be the person's favorite number. It could just be
a number.
Right. Maybe it's their date of their birth or something.
Or the number of members in their family.
Exactly. Something like that. Which leads us to one of our favorites. Our 5th icebreaker is That's me.
Go ahead and explain that one.
Okay. Well, I just want to say we've done this with faculties at our own schools.
Yes.
And it's so much fun. We'll talk about how to do this virtually, but in person, it's where everyone gets in a big circle and you either put a piece of blue tape on the floor or a Post-it note. And honestly, the blue tape is better because the Post-it notes end up on the bottoms of people's shoes.
They do.
So everybody just puts a little piece of blue painter's tape on the floor so it won't ruin the wax. And everyone stands on there except one person. One person stands in the middle and they say a statement. So they could say something like, I've been teaching for 20 or more years. And everybody that's been teaching for 20 or more years shouts out, that's me. And everyone then that said that's me has to move to a different piece of painter's tape on the floor and not be the monkey in the middle, the one left over.
Right. It's kind of like musical chairs, but right.
But with no chairs.
Right, no chairs. And you don't take a chair away. It's just it's like monkey in the middle meets musical chairs.
Exactly.
And just a disclaimer, some of these, now this one is actually called That's Me, but some of these we kind of just invented what they're called. So if you're trying to find them on the internet, you might not be able to find them because we just made it up.
But That's Me is a true one.
That's Me is
and
a true one.
And let's tell them about what we talked about, how to do this virtually. You came up with this idea.
I did. It just
Brilliant.
Dawned on me. What you could do is have the students turn their cameras off, say a statement, whatever that statement is, I have a sibling.
Right.
And then if that's them, they could turn their camera on and say, that's me.
Now they can't move.
They can't move, but it would still be like...
So who would take the next statement? Because it's always the person in the middle that does the next statement. So maybe the last person to click in or the first person to click in?
Maybe the first person.
I don't know.
Or maybe you just randomize it and you just pick one of them, right?
That would probably be the easiest because you don't want the kids to say, I was last or I was first or wait to be the last person to click in, right?
Yes.
Yes, so just pick a kid.
Just randomly pick, right. So it kind of loses a little bit of that competitive feel to it, but you could it would still work.
Yes.
I think it would still be fun, and it would definitely help with how to use that technology, how to turn the camera on, turn the camera off, turn the microphone on, turn it off, right? It's all these things that we've got to teach them, but you could teach them through a game.
Yes, which also leads us to number 6, which is another one of my favorite icebreakers. It's called Takeoff Touchdown. This is where all the kids would, in the classroom, be sitting in their seat, and once you say a statement that's true of them, they stand up, meaning take off, right? And then if you say they stay standing if the statement is true about them. If you say a statement that's false about them, then they would sit back down. I like this virtually as well. We talked about this before we recorded, that all kids would have to have their cameras on the whole time, but it literally gets them up and down, moving out of their seats, because did we talk about this in the last episode where we have to get the kids up and moving at least every 20 to 30 minutes.
Yeah.
I don't know about you, but during our preschool week this past week, I found myself sitting so much that my butt hurt.
Yes.
Really. So I was even texting one of my friends, okay, I'm getting up. Make sure you get up. That was for you, Jen. And she would text me back, thank you, because we just forget.
There's a great Chrome extension that actually stops you every 15, 20 minutes, and it pops up on your screen, and it's a big red screen. I don't remember what it's called. Okay. We'll put it in the show notes so that it's there. But yeah, it's a great one. I think you can even customize. I haven't downloaded it yet because I was, doing other things, but
you were busy.
But I had full intentions of downloading it before Monday starts, before virtual school starts, because we're going to need to stop.
Exactly.
And it's just a quick stand up and do 10 jumping jacks.
Exactly.
Just a quick, just a quick stop.
We need to
brain break. It's absolutely going to be necessary for both us and the kids.
That's for sure.
Number 7 is using Flipgrid. Now, I love Flipgrid. I
never used it.
Oh my gosh, it's so good.
I did it once.
Fun.
Actually, our friend Elise did a test with me.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah, I was here when you did that video. Right. Yeah. Flipgrid is a video recording app and website.
And it's free?
It's free. Students can log in, and it's very teacher friendly, where you don't have to have the kids post right away. The teacher can monitor what the post is, what the video is, before it gets released to other students.
Can this be integrated into Google Classroom, or it's a separate?
You can just share a link. It is a separate app, but you could just share the link and the topic.
Okay.
And then it'll take them right to it.
Do they have to sign in?
There's different ways that you can sign in. You can go through an email, or you can go through they just write a username or a code. They're a code.
Do teachers make a class for them?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes. So teachers would have to make the class. Last year, I've done it both. Last year, I used the code that they used to log in was just their student number, so it was easy for them to remember.
Right.
The year before, it was through their email. So whichever way you want to do it, they both work really nicely. But Flipgrid is a great way, even virtually or non-virtually. I loved it because it allowed me to see students at home.
Yes.
Right? And they got to introduce their parents and their pets and their...
This was even before distance learning.
Yes.
Okay.
This was before all the virtual.
You did it at the beginning of the school year.
Yes.
So that you could get to know your kids.
Right. And then throughout the year, I used it for a homework piece, show me how you solved this. And I loved doing that. It was so
beneficial.
Yeah.
I remember you sharing some of your students' work with me, so I could see it and be impressed. It was such a
proud teacher moment too, because you can hear yourself in them. You know what I mean? You can hear your own teaching and the words that you use and how they taught, and it was reflecting how I taught, and it just warmed my heart. But yeah, Flipgrid I love it. It's top of my list of tech tools.
So maybe at the beginning you tell them, do a Flipgrid about me, about yourself.
About yourself. Introduce yourself.
Is it timed?
The teacher can choose how long the videos are.
Perfect.
You can set it up for 3-minute video or 1-minute video or 30 seconds, whatever you want. And that's as long as the students have.
So it's basically a TikTok for teachers.
That's the beauty of it. It really is. And it's editing. They can edit. They can put fonts. They can put filters. They can put emojis. They've added so many more options to it. Especially this year, I think they've really stepped up their game. So check it out if you haven't done so already. Flipgrid is awesome.
All right, we'll link everything we possibly can in our show notes.
And we've talked about Flipgrid before.
We have.
I mean, it's worth mentioning again.
Okay. Our 8th one is jumping on the Bitmoji wagon, which I have not yet.
Listen, once you go down this rabbit hole, it is deep.
Tough to get out of.
It is very hard to get out of. But There are so many different ways, different options out there. I have seen where students could decorate a locker, decorate a cubby, decorate a hydro flask. I mean, the options are just endless. And it's a great activity in using tech, right? Copy and paste images.
How do they do this though?
In Google Classroom, what you would do is you would make a copy with every student.
So you give them the template.
Yes.
And then they get to create on top of it.
Right.
Okay.
Really thinking about those technology skills that they need, right? Inserting images, copy and paste images, moving, resizing, all these things that we've got to think about. But now we're also doing it in a fun way as an icebreaker and getting to know you. I'm actually doing the hydro flask on Mondays, so I'm really excited, and I'll let you know how it goes.
Thank you. Okay. Our 9th one is, we kind of named it Math, Draw, or Write Autobiography. So there's a whole bunch in this. I got this idea from Kyle and John from their podcast, so I will definitely link it in the show notes. It's where kids finish a statement, and I tweaked it three different statements last year with my 5th graders. I put math, ... math is ... math is like ... So you could have them fill out 1, 2, or all 3 of them. And also I had them on the back draw themselves learning math. And I love doing it at the beginning of the year.
Yes.
And then at the end of the year, the kids can see how I would ask them to do the same thing again at the end and how their mindset had changed over the year. Because honestly, most kids draw themselves sitting at a desk or the teacher is up at the board. And so many kids would just write something like 7 times 9, just very boring, traditional teacher kind of thing. But by the end of the year, they would draw themselves doing what we do in our classroom.
Oh, I love that. In a PD, we actually did that where we had to draw ourselves learning math. But I never thought of doing it as at the end of the year and then comparing them. Yes. I love that.
And unfortunately, we didn't get to do that this past year.
Right.
However, I did send them home with the kids.
Oh, you did?
I did, because I saved them all year, and I sent them home in there.
I'm definitely going to have to do that. I love that.
The other one, I just want to sneak this in. It's not really an icebreaker, but I also have the kids write their math autobiography. So, okay, they're in 5th grade, so they've had, since kindergarten, they've had different experiences. As a student, I get to read about where they're coming from. Which helps me help them if I have to change their mindset about learning math.
Yeah, I like that too.
Our 10th one is popcorn.
Yes.
I love this one too.
This one's fun.
We can do this virtually easily as well.
Yeah, go ahead.
So everyone has to have their cameras on and mics on. It's where you rapid fire questions to the teacher. You could also change this to students as well.
Right.
So in the classroom, everyone would be sitting, and then someone would just pop up. And if 2 people or 3 people popped up at the same time, it's so cool because they kind of looked at each other and would be like, "No, you go ahead," without even saying anything. Like the other kids would just sit down.
Maybe we could even have them pop up on the cameras.
Yes.
If you just tilt the camera up a little bit. Ooh. Right? What if we did that and then they popped up? Maybe you could just see like the top of their heads when they're sitting, and then when they pop up, you see their heads.
Yes.
That might be fun.
That might be fun. And they get to rapid fire questions to the teacher so that they get to know you and me as people.
Right. Yeah, it might be a little chaotic, but fun.
That's exactly. We need a little chaos during
and we need
time.
A little fun. Let's be real about that.
We need a lot of fun.
Number 11, rank it. This is limitless.
I really
think you could use this for so many different things. You could have them rank pizza. You could have them rank their favorite movies. You could have them rank their favorite strategies, right?
Yeah, well, let's talk about icebreakers, though, how they could rank
things. All right. Doing this virtually, you could create a Google form, and you could just leave it multiple choice.
You could.
And just duplicate the question every time, where you have, what is your first choice? What is your second choice? Your third choice. I mean, you could go as high as you wanted to.
Right.
Or you could also do it as a drop down, and they would just select the one that, their first choice, their second choice, etc. So they would rank their choices in a category.
So I could just open this up in Google Sheets, and
right.
I could filter it so that I could see the choice that was
the most.
Right.
And you could even, listen, this is now you've collected data, right? And now you could chart it, and you could. There's so much more we could do with this. This goes in many different directions.
But okay, let's focus back on icebreakers.
On just an icebreaker.
But you're right. This could be endless for data.
Yes.
Ooh.
Right?
Yes. All right. I loved this one. You came up with this one.
I did.
I love it. Tell us.
Okay. We're in our faculty meeting, and thank goodness my guidance counselor said at the end of her little presentation, just remember to make it fun, because this is a stressful time for everyone. We've got to make it fun. And then that was kind of like that moment of oh my gosh, she's right. Gotta let go.
Take something off your
yes.
take a burden off your shoulders.
Yes. So thank you, Tammy, for that. I appreciate it. I needed it. And it just hit me at that moment. I was like, what can I do to make it fun, right? Kids love Kahoot.
Kids love Kahoot.
It's a fun game. They get super competitive. They always get loud, yes. Even though I tell them not to be loud. I'm like, guys, you're so loud.
But our rooms are loud.
I know, they are.
Because that's us.
That is. And I was thinking, how fun would it be to make a question for each child about them, about something that we've learned about them during that week of icebreakers and getting to know them.
That would be so much fun. So I was thinking I needed to ask you, how are you as the teacher going to keep notes? Are you going to create a table with everyone's name in it and keep notes?
That sounds good. I like that. I hadn't thought it through that much, but
well, I'm the logistics part.
No, I love that. That's perfect. I'll just write down like the things that they like in each one of those boxes, and then create questions by the end of the week.
Exactly.
And I thought this would also. What a great way to make them pay attention, yes. Right? So many times they just doze off when someone that they're not, they don't know, a stranger who's going to present about themselves or talking about themselves, there's not really anything to make them interested in it. But if you throw Kahoot in there.
You just gave me another idea.
What's that? Tell
about
us.
The content during the week. Maybe you kind of keep notes on the sly as to who shared that strategy, or who said, this connection to the text to self, or because maybe during our content part, the kids might pay more attention.
You're right.
So what other, and I'm throwing this at you right now.
Okay.
What other programs could we use besides Kahoot? Because we know it'll get old.
Right. There's another one out there I love is quizzes.
Yes. Quizzizz.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, whatever.
We'll link it.
Yes.
Quizzes I loved because first the question appears on their screen. It's not something that you need to project.
Okay.
Which can be a little tricky, especially with, distance. We're in a Google Meet and they can't all see the screen or whatever.
Right.
And what I love about quizzes is that it's not, you can take the time off and they can go at their own pace.
Oh, even better.
And you can take off points for time so they're not rushed. So academically, I love using quizzes, especially for those kids who need longer to just process.
Absolutely.
Right? And it's not a race. And that's the thing. We want to make sure that they're not...
Because Kahoot is a race.
Kahoot is a race.
Right.
But quizzes can be set up so that it's not a race.
I love it.
Another thing you could do, you could even throw in... Remember when you did your Flipgrid, it was a puzzle of who is it, right?
Oh, yes!
So you could do it that way, too. Who is this person?
Oh, my gosh.
And give clues.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. And then my picture was underneath, right?
Yes.
Thank you. I totally forgot about that. Yep. Let's jump into our challenge for this week.
We would love for you to share an icebreaker with us because we are on the hunt constantly looking for new things and new ways to improve our teaching methods.
We are on the hunt to be a case teacher. Thanks, other Karina. Right? Copy and steal everything. I always said beg, borrow, and steal, but case sounds much better. I'm going to be a case teacher.
Yeah, me too.
And then you're like, what's that? Copy and steal everything.
That's right.
Thanks for joining us.
We'd love for you to subscribe to our podcast and give us a 5-star review on your favorite podcasting platform. We invite you to join the conversation on Twitter by using the hashtag #LearningThroughMath.
We'd love to hear your feedback. Make sure to tag us at Laura and Karina. It's always a pleasure to talk to you.
To you too.